Chapter 12. Loving the Unlovely. It was a beautiful September Saturday. My wife and I were strolling through Ronaldo Gardens, enjoying the flora, some of which had been imported from around the world. The gardens had originally been developed by R.J. Reynolds, the tobacco magnate, and as a part of his country estate. They are now a part of the Wake Forest University campus. We had just passed the Rose Garden when I noticed Anne, a woman who had begun counseling 2 weeks earlier, approaching us. She was looking down at the cobblestone walkway and appeared to be in deep thought. When we greeted, she was startled, but looked up and smiled. I introduced her to Carolyn, and we exchanged pleasantries. Then, without any lead-in, she asked me one of the most profound questions I have ever heard. "Dr. Chapman, is it possible to love someone whom you hate?" I knew the question was born of deep hurt and deserved a thoughtful answer. I knew that I would be seeing her the following week for another counseling appointment, so I said, "Anne, that is one of the most thought-provoking questions I have ever heard. Why don't we discuss that next week?" She agreed, and Carolyn and I continued our stroll. But Anne's question did not go away. Later, as we drove home, Carolyn and I discussed it. We reflected on the early days of our own marriage and remembered that we had often experienced feelings of hate. Our condemning words to each other had brought us hurt, and on the heels of hurt, anger, and anger inside becomes hate. What made the difference for us? We both knew it was the choice to love. We have realized that if we continued our pattern of demanding and condemning, we would destroy our marriage. Fortunately, over a period of about a year, we had learned how to discuss our differences without condemning each other, how to make decisions without destroying our unity, how to give constructive suggestions without being demanding, and eventually, how to speak each other's primary love language. Our choice to love was made in the midst of negative feelings toward each other. When we started speaking each other's primary love language, the feelings of anger and hate abated. Our situation, however, was different from Anne's. Carolyn and I had both been open to learning and growing. I knew that Anne's husband was not. She had told me the previous week that she had begged him to go to counseling. She had pleaded with him to read a book or listen to a speaker on marriage, but he had refused all efforts toward growth. According to her, his attitude was, "I don't have any problems. You are the one with the problems." In his mind, he was right, she was wrong. It was as simple as that. Her feelings of love for him had been killed through the years by his constant criticism and condemnation. After 10 years of marriage, her emotional energy was depleted and her self-esteem almost destroyed. Was there hope for Anne's marriage? Could she love an unloving husband? Would he ever respond in love with her? Love's greatest challenge. I knew that Anne was a deeply religious person and that she attended church regularly. I surmised that perhaps her only hope for marital survival was her faith. The next day, with Anne in mind, I began to read Luke's account of the life of Christ. I had always admired Luke's writing because he was a physician who gave attention to details and in the first century wrote an orderly account of the teachings and lifestyle of Jesus of Nazareth, Yahshua. In many ways, in what many have called Jesus' greatest sermon, I read the following words, which I call love's greatest challenge. "But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. It seemed to me that this profound challenge, written almost 2,000 years ago, might be the direction that Anne was looking for. But could she do it? Could anyone do it? Is it possible to love a spouse that has become your enemy? Is it possible to love one who has cursed you, mistreated you, and expressed feelings of contempt and hate for you? If she could, would there be any payback? Would her husband ever change and begin to express love and care for her? I was astounded by this further word from Jesus' sermon. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Could that principle of loving an unloving person possibly work in a marriage as far gone as Anne's? I decided to do an experiment. I would take my hypothesis that if Anne could learn her husband's primary love language and speak it for a period of time so that his emotional need for love was met, eventually he would reciprocate and begin to express love to her. I wondered, would it work? I met with Anne the next week and listened again as she reviewed the hurts in her marriage. At the end of her synopsis, she repeated the question she had asked in Ronaldo Gardens. This time she put it in the form of a statement. Dr. Chapman, I just don't know if I can ever love him again after all he has done for me. Done to me. Have you talked about your situation with any of your friends? I asked. With two of my closest friends, she said, and a little bit with some other people. And what was their response? Get out, she said. They all tell me to get out, and that he will never change, and that I am simply prolonging the agony. But I just can't bring myself to do that. Maybe I should, but I just can't believe that it's the right thing to do. I said, I can understand the advice of your friends, and there is a time to get out. However, many people get out too soon. But, I understand that emotionally there may seem to be the only answer, but I've been amazed at what unconditional love can do to change the environment in a marriage. It seems to me that you are torn between your religious and moral beliefs that tell you which is wrong to get out of the marriage, and your emotional pain, which tells you that getting out is the only way to survive, I said. That's exactly right, Dr. Chapman. That's exactly the way I feel. I don't know what to do. I am deeply empathetic with your struggle, I continued. You are in a very difficult situation. I wish I could offer you an easy answer. Unfortunately, I can't. Both of the alternatives you mentioned, getting out or staying in, will likely bring you a great deal of pain. Before you make that decision, I do have one idea. I'm not sure if it will work, but I'd like you to try it. I know from what you have told me that your religious faith is important to you and that you have a great deal of respect for the teachings of Jesus. She nodded. I continued. I want to read something that Jesus once said that I think has some application to your marriage. I read slowly and deliberately. But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you. Do to others as you would have them do to you. If you love those who love you, what credit is that to you? Even sinners love those who love them. Does that sound like your husband? Has he treated you as an enemy rather than a friend? She paused. Yes, she said quietly. Has he ever cursed you? I said. Many times. Has he ever mistreated you? Often. And has he told you that he hates you? Yes. The 6-month experiment. And if you are willing, I would like to do an experiment. I would like to see what would happen if we apply this principle to your marriage. Let me explain what I mean. I went on to explain to Anne that the concept of the emotional love tank and the fact that when the tank is low, as hers was, we have no love feelings toward our spouse, but simply experience emptiness and pain. I told her that if we could learn to speak each other's primary love language, that emotional need could be met and positive feelings could grow again. Does that make sense to you? I inquired. Dr. Chapman, you have just described my life. I have never seen it so clearly before. We were in love before we got married, but not long after our marriage, we came down off the high and we never learned to speak each other's love language. My tank has been empty for years, and I'm sure his has also. Dr. Chapman, if I had understood this concept earlier, maybe none of this would have happened. We can't go back, Anne, I said. All we can do is try to make the future different. I would like to propose a 6-month experiment. I'll try anything, Anne said. I liked her positive spirit, but I wasn't sure whether she understood how difficult the experiment would be. Let's begin by stating our objective, I said. If in 6 months you could have your fondest wish, what would it be? Anne sat in silence for some time. Then thoughtfully she said, I would like to see us doing things together, going places together. I would like to feel that he is interested in my world. I'd like him to listen to me. I'd like to feel that he values my ideas. I would like to see us taking trips together and having fun again. I would like to know that he values our marriage more than anything. Anne paused and then continued. On my part, I would like to have warm, positive feelings toward him again. I would like to gain respect for him again. I would like to be proud of him. Right now, I don't have those feelings. I was writing as Anne was speaking. When she finished, I read aloud what she had said. That sounds like a pretty lofty objective, I said. But is that really what you want, Anne? More than anything. Then let's agree, I said, that this will be our objective. In 6 months, we want to see you and Glenn having this kind of love relationship. Now, let me suggest a hypothesis. Let's hypothesize that if you could speak Glenn's primary love language consistently for a 6-month period, somewhere along the line, his emotional need for love would begin to be met. And as his emotional tank gets filled, he will begin to reciprocate love to you. I continued. You understand that this places all the initiative in your hands. Glenn is not trying to work on the marriage. You are. But if you can channel your energies in the right direction, there is a good possibility that Glenn will eventually reciprocate. I read the other portion of Jesus' sermon recorded by Luke the physician. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, will be poured into your lap. For with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Generally speaking, if we are kind and loving toward people, they will tend to be kind and loving toward us. That does not mean that we can make a person be kind by being kind to him. We are independent agents. Thus, we can spurn love and walk away from love, or even spit into the face of love. There is no guarantee that Glenn will respond to your acts of love. We can only say that there is a good possibility that he will do so. Even if he does not reciprocate your love, you can look at yourself in the mirror and know that you have done the most powerful thing you could to influence him. Then you can honestly say to him, I don't know how you feel about our marriage, but I feel that in the past 6 months I have shown love to you. It now seems to me that you do not care about our marriage. I love you too much to simply sit here and let you continue to destroy me. So, I am moving in with my mother, or some other arrangement. I am not abandoning you. If you are ever willing to go to marriage counseling, I will be happy to join you. This approach is called tough love. When he reflects on how you have treated him in the past 6 months, he will know that he has something to lose and is more likely to deal with his own failures. I want to be a better wife to you. We then discussed Anne and Glenn's primary love languages. I guessed hers was quality time, and Anne confirmed it. In our early days, we spent long hours talking together, doing things together. I really felt loved. More than anything, I wished that part of our marriage could return. When we spend time together, I feel like he really cares. But when he's always doing other things, I feel like business and other pursuits are more important than our relationship. And what do you think Glenn's primary love language is? I inquired. I think it's physical touch, and especially the sexual part of the marriage. I know that when I felt more loved by him and we were more sexually active, he had a different attitude. I think that's his primary love language. Does he ever complain about the way you talk to him? Well, he says I nag him all the time. He also says that I don't support him, and I'm always against his ideas. I said, my guess is that his primary love language is words of affirmation, since his complaint is that you are always giving him negative words. The complaint often reveals our primary love language. As a man, he certainly has a desire for sexual pleasure, but in his heart, he knows that sex without love is empty. So, let's assume that words of affirmation is his primary love language. What if you go home and say to Glenn, I've been thinking about us, and I have decided that I would like to be a better wife. I know that I have been very critical of you and have often said hurtful things. I guess I have been speaking out of my own hurt rather than out of a heart of love. I want to begin focusing on the positive things that you do rather than the things that hurt me. I really want to change that. Whatever his response, just take it as information. Your initial statement lets him know that something different is about to happen in your relationship. Look for positive things in Glenn's life and give him verbal affirmations about those things. In the meantime, stop all verbal complaints. If you want to complain about something, write it down in your personal notebook rather than say anything about it to Glenn for this month. Anne looked at me. I knew what she was going to ask next. What about sex, Dr. Chapman? In my opinion, women need to feel a close emotional connection to their husbands for sex to be satisfying. And Glenn, too, as a responsible, loving husband, needed to be treating Anne as a whole person, not as a body to be used. Your response has been natural and normal, I assured Anne. Usually, if a wife feels loved by her husband, she will desire sexual intimacy. If she does not feel that love, she will likely feel used in a sexual context. Therefore, I would suggest that you postpone sexual intimacy until there can be a change in the emotional climate of the marriage. As you and Glenn begin to spend more quality time together, and as you start to use more words of affirmation with him, you may well find you experience a desire for a renewed mutual physical intimacy. You two have a good foundation. I am confident you can, with God's help, find your way back to a mutually satisfying sexual life together. There are times it won't be easy to make this emotional connection, I continued. You will probably have to rely heavily on your faith in God in order to do this. Perhaps it will help you if you read again Jesus' sermon on loving your enemies and loving those who hate you. Ask God to help you practice the teachings of Jesus. I could tell that Anne was following what I was saying. Her head was nodding ever so slightly. Her eyes told me she had lots of questions. But, Dr. Chapman, isn't it being hypocritical to speak his love language when I have negative feelings toward him? Perhaps it would be helpful for us to distinguish between love as a feeling and love as an attitude, I said. If you claim to have feelings that you do not have, that is hypocritical, and such false communication is not the way to build intimate relationships. But if we choose an attitude of love, then we speak their love language as a choice, seeking to enrich their life. You're not claiming that the action grows out of a deep emotional bonding. You're simply choosing to do something for his benefit. I think that must be what Jesus meant. Certainly, we do not have warm feelings for people who hate us. That would be abnormal. But we can do loving acts for them. That is simply a choice. We hope that such loving acts will have a positive effect upon their attitudes and behavior and treatment, but at least we have chosen to do something positive for them. My answer seemed to satisfy Anne, at least for the moment. I had the feeling that we would discuss that again. I also had the feeling that if the experiment was going to get off the ground, it would be because of Anne's deep faith in God. After the first month, I said, I want you to ask Glenn for feedback on how you are doing. Using your own words, ask him, Glenn, you remember a few weeks ago when I told you I was going to try to be a better wife? I want to ask, how do you think I am doing? Whatever Glenn says, accept it as information. Whatever his response, do not argue, but accept it and assure him that you are serious about being a better wife. And if he has additional suggestions, you are open to them. Follow this pattern of asking for feedback once a month for the entire 6 months. Whenever Glenn gives you the first positive response, you will know that your efforts are getting through to him emotionally. 1 week after you receive the first positive feedback, I want you to make a request of Glenn. Something that you would like him to do. Something in keeping with your primary love language. For example, you may say to him one evening, Glenn, do you know something I would like to do? Do you remember how we used to go take walks in Ronaldo Gardens together? I'd like to go do that with you Thursday night. The kids are going to be staying at my mom's. Do you think that would be possible? Make the request something specific, not general. Don't say, I wish we would spend more time together. That's too vague. How will you know when he's doing it? But if you make your request specific, he will know exactly what you want, and you will know that when he does it, he is choosing to do something for your benefit. Do this each month. If he does it, fine. If he doesn't do it, fine. But when he does it, you will know that he is responding to your needs. In the process, you are teaching him your primary love language because the requests you make are in keeping with your love language. If he chooses to begin loving you in your primary language, your positive emotions toward him will begin to resurface. Your emotional tank will begin to fill up, and in time, the marriage will, in fact, be reborn. Dr. Chapman, I would do anything if that could happen, Anne said. Well, I responded, it will take a lot of hard work, but I believe it's worth a try. I'm personally interested to see if this experiment works and if our hypothesis is true. I would like to meet with you regularly throughout this process, perhaps every 2 weeks. And I would like you to keep records on the positive words of affirmation that you give to Glenn each week. Also, I would like you to bring me your list of complaints that you have written in your notebook without stating to Glenn. Perhaps from the felt complaints, I can help you build specific requests for Glenn that will help meet some of those frustrations. Eventually, I want you to learn how to share your frustrations and irritations in a constructive way, and I want you and Glenn to learn how to work through those irritations and conflicts. But during the 6-month experiment, I want you to write them down without telling Glenn. Anne left, and I believed that she had the answer to her question. Is it possible to love someone whom you hate? In the next 6 months, Anne saw a tremendous change in Glenn's attitude and treatment of her. The first month, he treated the whole thing lightly. But after the second month, he gave her positive feedback about her efforts. In the next 4 months, he responded positively to almost all her requests, and her feelings for him began to change drastically. Glenn never came for counseling, but he did listen to some of my recorded messages and discuss them with Anne. He encouraged Anne to continue her counseling, which she did for another 3 months after our experiment. To this day, Glenn swears to his friends that I am a miracle worker. I know, in fact, that love is a miracle worker. Perhaps you need a miracle in your own marriage. Why not try Anne's experiment? Tell your spouse that you have been thinking about your marriage and have decided that you would like to do a better job of meeting his or her needs. Ask for suggestions on how you could improve. Their suggestions will be a clue to their primary love language. If they make no suggestions, guess their love language based on the things they have complained about over the years. Then, for 6 months, focus your attention on that love language. At the end of each month, ask your spouse for feedback on how you are doing and for further suggestions. Whenever your spouse indicates that he is seeing improvement, wait 1 week and then make a specific request. The request should be something you really want them to do for you. If they choose to do it, you will know that they are responding to your needs. If they do not honor your request, continue to love them. Maybe the next month they will respond positively. If your spouse starts speaking your love language by responding to your requests, your positive emotions toward them will return, and in time, your marriage will be reborn. I cannot guarantee the results, but scores of people whom I have counseled have experienced the miracle of love. In your marriage, is the serious trouble discussed if your marriage is in the serious trouble discussed in this chapter, you need to begin by making a strong commitment of the will to undertake the following experiment. You risk further pain and rejection, but you also stand to regain a healthy and fulfilling marriage. Count the costs. It's worth the attempt. Number 1. Ask how you can be a better spouse, and regardless of the other's attitude, act on what he or she tells you. Continue to both seek more input and comply with those wishes with all your heart and will. Assure your spouse that your motives are pure. Number 2, when you receive positive feedback, you know there is progress. Each month, make one non-threatening but specific request that is easy for your spouse. Make sure it relates to your primary love language and will help replenish your empty tank. When your spouse responds and meets your needs, you will be able to react with not only your will, but your emotions as well. Without overreacting, continue positive feedback and an affirmation of your spouse at these times. And number 4, as your marriage begins to truly heal and grow deeper, make sure you don't rest on your laurels and forget your spouse's love language and daily needs. You're on the road to your dreams, so stay there. Put appointments into your schedule to assess together how you're doing.